Hello, hello, hello.
Hi.
Welcome. I am Nick Vick.
And I'm Azero, Alcala.
And you are listening to the Confidently Uncertain Podcast. Yes, welcome. This is episode 12 of the Confidently Uncertain Podcast, and we're so glad that you can be here to join us. Definitely for those people. I mean, think about it, that's 3 months of doing the podcast.
1, 2, 3. I counted.
I'm glad you've seen Sesame Street. So let's, as we always do, just kind of like dive into this. I say as we always do, even though we go off topic so many times. But as we're going to be sharing some updates within inside of our lives, and I think there are some morals that could be made with those updates. For example, so here's the update on my life right here. I have started a new film project.
What is it called, Nick?
Thank you.
Okay.
Show more interest.
I get no. I just like because you're doing your updates. I don't want to distract you.
Yeah, no, just keep going. Yeah, do those usual.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I guess not gonna do
Tell
it.
me more,
I guess
Nick.
I gotta do it on command now.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you the look, and you can be like, "Wow, very
Wow,
interesting."
Great. Just put a sound box of me, man. Do the post production. Don't
Just multiple times of you saying like, "You're the best, great, phenomenal."
Yeah. All right. So what is going on, Nick? You have a new project.
I know.
going
I feel
on?
like we both need our energy lifted up a bit right now.
Probably a little. It's a Sunday, and
We're recording on a Sunday today.
we are
yeah.
recording on the Sunday. I'm really trying.
I also forgot we were recording today.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a weird thing of oh shit. I think the reason why maybe sometimes during the week works is because we're awake during the week because we have to be for our jobs and
It's like we come back from work, and even though that should be something that tires us out, it's like, well, we have been in work mode for quite a bit.
We've been in work mode.
And now, oh no, what I have to do is go talk to my friend. Like,
Yeah.
It's not the worst.
And well, the only reason that we're doing it on the Sunday, I know we're going a little off tangent, but the only reason we're going on Sunday is because our schedules weren't working, but we want to make it as consistent as possible for you guys. So
Yeah, and I don't mind us going off tangent because now we're building up the energy. You know,
Yeah.
We honestly should have had like a warm up conversation as we usually do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But regardless, I guess this would be the one in which I'm sorry if the words are slurred a bit more, and we sound like we just woke up, or we sound like we just chugged coffee and then we're talking too fast.
Yeah, I wish I was kind of like that right now. Maybe I should have gotten coffee.
Maybe.
Probably. No, but I'm trying to wean off it during the weekends. So I still have the effect of coffee during the week.
We lost that Starbucks sponsorship. Thank you. But you know what? I'll get back into it. So
Okay.
I've been working on a new film project. As I've said before in the episode, my short film Hyde is wrapping up. Literally, I was talking with the sound mixer today, and what he said was everything is arranged, and he just had he was confused on one part we have done. So I'm losing my train of thought. Wake up, Nick. Pretty much everything is arranged, and he just had one question about one part, but he's working on it today, and I think potentially tomorrow. But I'm just trying to say I can't say it's done, but I can't do anything else now besides give feedback. So it did make me hungry for another film project. There was kind of this weird thing in which you work on a short film, you work on any project for so long, then once you stop doing it, it's like, well now what?
Right. I think my struggle with starting projects and finishing them is I've been getting much better at it, but keep working on the project because I know for you it's a start to finish, and you do have creative I guess improvisational type edits and stuff that it seems better. Like you didn't plan it out, but then it seems better later on. Like, oh, this actually makes more sense. Oh, I wish I could work on this a little bit more, but you have to learn how to stop. You have to learn how to kind of just put the brakes on it. Okay, it's fine.
The last thing I would do on any editing project would be repeatedly adjusting the brightness and the volume of some tracks.
Yeah.
It'd just be like, I would like it darker. No, I like it brighter. And it's just because it's the most minor thing I could do without changing the whole project. It's just like one clip, like, what if it was a little bit brighter? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it could literally be going through like the brightness according to like the levels of it. It's being like 0.127, or do I like 0.128? Ooh, it's such a difference.
That's actually exactly the process I go through, because the actual drawing doesn't take too long. It's the finite details that I just keep tinkering with, because I just kind of look back at it and I'm like, wow, maybe if we just made it a little bit more contrasty, or maybe if we just put a little shimmer here and there, it's fun.
Do I even like this anymore? I feel like I don't even like pink. Why did I make this whole thing pink?
Yeah. So that's why you got to learn to stop.
Yeah. So I was honestly like hungry for another film project, and not just that. Like when with Hyde, I filmed it for 2 days, but I've been editing it and constructing it for months now. And so when it came to like that being done, it was like me going to my editing software wasn't gonna be a weekly thing anymore. I'm like, oh, but it felt like just a part of me. And I should also say, like, another reason like I really wanted to start doing stuff is because we do this podcast, and this is another creative venue for me. It allows me to express myself, create something that is me, and then when I put in the editor, I can sometimes have fun with it. So I started filming Syzygy. I started documenting it, and as a reminder, Syzygy is this art co-op. And it's where just a lot of events happen, and these groups of artists just come together because they all want to create this community. And while being there, it is definitely like, as a filmmaker, you get the question asked all the time, like, oh, you should document that place. Oh, think of all the stories here. Oh, imagine what you can make here. They always said it. And I guess I never felt like the time was right when they said it, or I just didn't want to put the effort in, because it is a lot of work. I was already preparing myself for that, because you would have to go to a lot of events and meetings in general. But yeah, I think that's the sum up there is that this is a art co-op that I started documenting, and I'm gonna share what I've been learning throughout this whole thing.
Yeah, so I mean, to give a little bit more preface, since this is something that was just voluntarily, right? This isn't something that they're expecting you. This is something that you just wanted to like kind of wanted to see where your skill set was at and see if you can even tackle something like this, right?
Oh yeah. The community of Syzygy is that, as the founder has said themselves, his name's Nobel, he's created Syzygy to be a place, like a playground for artists. It's a place for artists to utilize. So when it comes to any member asking if they could do such and such with the space, he's always for it. So it wasn't like they approached me to ask, like, hey, can you document Syzygy for some promotional reason? It was honestly like something they just always welcome when they heard I was a filmmaker. They're like, oh, how can we encourage you to explore film while also being with Syzygy? Like, how can Syzygy better help your filming? And for the longest time, I was just like, nothing.
Well, also to mention that you're really the only one that I can think of all the members that are your career's film.
Oh yeah,
Everyone else
is
is visual artists. Everyone else is like musicians and such. And so whenever people would go to you for that type of ideas, it's because you were really the only one that
oh, so I'm not good at it. I got you.
Well, it's like, who else? Who? What other member do we have?
You know, it's funny. You didn't say, no, Nick, it's not that you're not good at it. You just went, no. Yeah.
If you want to bring it that way,
you're the only
member.
member. No, I mean, like, I guess it really was like another reason is that they were so excited about it is because none of them really do film, that there's that curiosity around it, especially with what I do. They at Syzygy, they don't like have any like editing room for me. I don't go writing there. So when I say I'm doing film, it is the thing they see the least of until I actually released it. And when I was there, I had 2 short films, and I kept saying like, "Oh, I'm working on Hyde. I'm working on Hyde. I'm working on Hyde." So yeah, it was just when I asked them officially if I could like start documenting Syzygy, I was welcomed with open arms and such excitement too. Which I don't know if I ever talked about this fear before, but asking people who aren't interested in the film field, who don't know anything about it, asking them to start helping you out with it, it's something that's nerve-wracking for me, because part of me is already ready to start persuading, and also to really let them know, like, don't think you're going to have to sacrifice anything. I'm going to work around you. That is the best thing I would do. And especially, okay, like if it's like a narrative, the thing that's like the thing you're sacrificing, quote unquote, would be like, yeah, you have to give me some time. You have to help me out, and this will be work. But for the documentary, there is this different approach to it that I'm just filming life as it happens. And when I tell them, when I'm really emphasizing, like, do not think film is going to be a burden on Syzygy, that me with a camera, like I have a camera that fits in my hands. Okay. I am, at the moment, I am a crew of 1 person, and I'll maneuver around you, and you have the power to tell me, stop filming me. It's something that I wanted to emphasize so much, that anytime, if you're not comfortable, like, and you could retract a yes. If someone says, yeah, you can film me anytime, and then one day they don't want to be filmed, I keep reminding them, like, you could tell me, don't film me. You could tell me, just, you don't have to tell me all the details. But that is definitely what I'm like working around here. And when I told them that, though, I really got no negative feedback. And that was very encouraging. I thought I would get at least 1 person that would say, like, I honestly don't want to be on the camera.
I highly doubt it for Syzygy, because everyone likes most people like to be like on camera when it comes to when you see the product, you see yourself like, oh, that looks pretty awesome, and especially if you edit it in a documentary like style. Mm-hmm. I think that's why everyone was so excited.
I think it's also because they're very curious what the end result would be.
Yeah, same here. I still haven't seen. I've only seen a couple of the footage of this, I guess, documentary that you put for Syzygy. So we'll go a little bit more into detail with that later. But
yeah, because I definitely did want to talk about, and you know, I'm saying this to you too to help me make sure I hit all these points. But when it comes to like starting this documentary, I want to definitely touch on why I'm choosing to not do it. Not just why I'm doing it, but why now. What am I learning from it? And I guess like where I see the future of it going. So when it comes to like why I did it, I think it's pretty clear why I did it, because I do film and everybody was encouraging it. But why I was doing it now, yeah, I said like I wanted this film fix, another one. Of course I have other scripts locked up and other plans going on, but nothing was immediate. Mm-hmm. And the thing that was going on with the thing about like a documentary is that it is pretty immediate. It's kind of on, I won't say 100% on my demand, but I have more opportunities to go out there and film just on a whim. Because, well, it's not having to gather people for pre-production and get people to do rehearsals, practice camera stuff. It is literally me in there getting updated through the email list and Discords, find out what events are going on, and what we have like in our Discords of people talk about, hey, do you guys want to do, say for example, this week they're going to do mask making, and they were just talking about that at the open house. They're going to be like, oh, we're going to do mask making at the open house. And I've got my ear close to all these conversations to know, like, that'll be a good time to come bring the camera out. and it's not contacting a bunch of people at the moment. You know, I'm just one person. It's grabbing the camera, getting in there, and saying like, "This is an opportunity for potential good footage."
Right. Well, Dave, for the if you want to go over this a little later, tell me. But did that affect your editing process? So you know how if you have a script and you have like kind of a set plan, you know the direction of where your edits and your tinkering, I guess, is going to go. But since a documentary is live, it's something you can't control necessarily.
Yeah.
There's no direction. Did the editing process feel a lot more different? Did it feel fun? Did it feel how did that feel?
The editing process is definitely something different because, and I think I've touched on this a bit before when I made and again, this is honestly the name of my band, so please don't take this out of context. The Fuck Trailer. Sounds like I'm making porn, but that's the name of the band. There was that thing I learned of, I had to, because I wasn't the one with the camera. I had to get creative and work with these further limitations, and almost be like a secondhand director, being a director in post as opposed to being a director there, because I couldn't control the footage. I was the one performing, and where that takes me in filming Syzygy, is that when I am directing, when I'm like putting the camera around, it's a reminder to myself, like, once I get to the editor, though, like, I don't know what I'm going to want. Like, as much as I could say, like, yes, get this action. Oh, over here. I'm probably going to have a moment in which I'm going to sit there and be like, I really wish I shot over here. I really wish I had a shot like this. Because you don't know what everything's going to look like once it's all put together. And one shot next to the other. So it is going into the editing process with that in mind, that I'm not gonna have everything I want.
And is that like a turnoff? Is that something that is challenging?
It is a challenge that I'm willing to accept, and I'm so ready to accept every time. Sometimes it does like scare me. I'm like, fuck, because I would start editing. The way I start editing any of this footage is that I get the session that I filmed. So say if it was like a whole meeting, I get that session, and I put it together all in one editing project. And I just connect the audio and the footage together. I put it in order. And I'm just now going to have it how it is. There's nothing jumped around. And then after that, it's the question of like, okay, let me listen for some good moments here. Like, what are the things that are happening in the session that are intriguing me? And also almost build a story. Isn't this another thing about when it comes to like, it's almost like working in reverse, because I'm doing all these things in post, something that you would usually do beforehand. Like, yeah, we can say the story is of Syzygy, but what is the story? What is the thing being actual? Like, what is the thing that's going to make a beginning and end? So in a normal narrative film, it would be a thing of I write the script first, thinking of all the story, and then filming it, putting together editing. This is getting the footage, editing, and then thinking about the story. And then knowing that there's almost like two directors going on. They're both me, but one is the director with the camera, who is at the moment, and one is the director at post, who is now saying like, do I want that shot? Is that working here? You know, we have the shot, but do I want it?
So what were some of the struggles of filming it versus also even editing it? And I can imagine there would be a lot of unexpected things that you probably went to. One thing I can think of is kind of what you mentioned at the end, like, do I want this shot? I thought this shot would work, but it didn't seem like it worked right when I'm seeing it a second time. That happens a lot, even for me as a creative. When I see, when I have something in mind that makes sense and I draw it and I put it down, and when it's on the screen, I'm like, this is shit. So I'm like, kind of got us through like what that process is like, especially a documentary, totally different style.
I would say, as the real challenge with it is not knowing what's gonna happen, and this one, the other challenge would be like, and this is kind of like it's kind of this in the middle point, but you can't 100% control what that visual is going to look like. To give some reference, if I was filming something and I had a complete control over, I can add lighting where I think lighting needs to be added. I can make someone's face appear more, come out of the darkness. I could provide a cool color and a cool visual if I wanted to. But with directing, and I found this when I was at the meeting, it is like, if it's too dark in this room, I kind of have to deal with that. The way Syzygy just had the lights on this time was like, people were seeing the shadows and the light was like in the center. And when you're just looking at things, you're completely fine. But when I was filming it, it was like, I can't see some of these motherfuckers. Even like one light being the background being like way too glaring. And it just was just ugly to look at. And it's knowing that was one of their main light sources. I couldn't just say, hey, turn that off. But where that is also kind of where it becomes a positive thing, sometimes it makes things a bit easier, is that with documentary filmmaking, people like the genuine feel of things. And when something seems less perfect, it comes off more realistic because it's not planned. Oh, he probably didn't know that was going to happen. And it becomes like almost like I'm this soldier and you just have to have stuff in your arsenal to prepare for stuff like that. So it's definitely like reacting to things as opposed to getting prepared for it and saying, no, these things need to react to my camera. Like, this light needs to adjust to fit the camera. No, now it's like this camera and my directing needs to adjust to fit this lighting. And when it comes to the unpredictable nature of filming real life, it's that thing in which you gotta just kind of predict actions. Something that I will start off with is I will film. Say if it's like the meeting again, I will try to get the whole room in one shot, and then I catch on who are the ones talking more, and that's when I try to predict, like, are they gonna say something now? Maybe go over this moment, and just trying to figure out, like, yeah, maybe someone would say one sentence throughout the whole meeting. So with that in mind, it's like knowing that I still need to prepare for that one sentence as that person does speak up, but it is putting the focus on like, but who is talking the most? And those are the people I should gravitate towards. It's also working on, it's like going back and forth in some ways. Because sometimes I'm like, oh, it'd be nice if I got a close-up shot of them. But I know if I get a closer shot of somebody, that's going to give me less reaction time to say go across the room. When it's a further shot, I get everything. But it's knowing that, like, if I'm putting this footage together, it might just come off boring. And even if I wouldn't want to, like, cut conversations a bit, because, like, you know, we've all been to meetings. They're boring, all right? They can be very informative, great discussions, but no one's like, hey, you want to have some real fun and go to the meeting? So it's cutting out those slower moments of the meetings and really going to, like, asking myself, like, what is the focus of this meeting? Because for us Sys members, yeah, we need to know everything being said here. For our audience, well, what is the story I'm trying to say in this grand scheme of the project, and even just in the scene? What should I pay attention to? And that is something I kept in mind. Being a member, I'm updated about what's going to be what happened in the past, what's going on currently, and what's the plans for the future. That when I went to that meeting, I made sure to, like, okay, I think this is going to be something that's going to get talked about further in the next meeting on a one-on-one interview. So I try to focus on that. But it is that thing that's like, it's both that thing that comforts me, like, you know, relax, nothing's in control. And if things mess up, you know that an audience can be more forgiving. But it's also wishing, like, looking back at some footage, like, damn, I really wish I caught this moment. I have, as one camera person, there's times I was like, it's fucking like an hour of filming and going around. I was like, I'm just going to put this camera down. And also knowing that like the stand I had sucked ass, so that's why I didn't just put on a stand. So that's a lesson for me. But it was like I took this break and I stopped recording and I left the audio playing. And as I looked back, there was this very good line that was said. And it was someone said when they were talking about how the art show was, like some guy like, oh yeah, it was great. And they're like, yeah, Natalie's artwork was really great. He's like, yeah, one of her friends offered me acid, like just right there, you know? And that was like a funny moment. I was like, oh, wouldn't that be great? That's like when we ask, how was the show? And someone's like, it was great. Someone offered me acid. I only had the audio file of that.
Oh.
And I even remember like where I was. I left the room to use the bathroom and I heard it. I was like, no! Like I'm trying to rush back. Like you guys, and you can't. And the thing with me is like, yeah, maybe I could say, can you say that again? But
it wouldn't be as genuine.
It wouldn't be as genuine. And I it's not that I can't do it, but in my belief, it does risk the comfort. And I also see myself picking at myself like, ooh, not doing it right. And I guess it's almost like a documentarian moral code. Like, if you want to know the truth, a documentarian doesn't have to be honest, okay? You can fake a lot of shit. A lot of documentaries have moments. Not the full thing, but they might have one scene in which they actually plan that one out. But for me, it's just like, I don't want to do that. Maybe I'll get more comfortable doing it because I know it's not going to be the worst thing if I tell someone, can you say that again? But it is that thing of like, I just want everything to be genuine. And to go back to that comfort thing I was talking about, I feel like the less I am directing them, the more they're going to forget I'm there and be more natural. And they're already doing it. They don't play to the camera at all.
I don't know if we went over this in the beginning, but can you just remind the audience why are you filming Syzygy? What is the story that you're trying to convey then, if that's the case? Like a one sentence
why?
one. Because you're talking about what you've captured, and you've gotten a little bit of what the goal was to tell a story. But what is, from what you're seeing right now, from all this footage I have, what is Syzygy's story, and what are some specific examples that maybe you can talk about?
So what Syzygy's story is, and you also asking why reminded me of something else I want to say about like why did I start it now, but I'll get to that afterwards. So what Syzygy's story is, and
according to your what
to
you
my
have.
I would want to say that for starters, in all documentaries, and in real life, there isn't like one story, and if for some things they don't have a clear beginning, middle, end. So when I look at Syzygy, I know Syzygy as a whole is a story, and I see it as a never-ending story. But I do see the obvious story coming here of a story of growth because of what it is. As I don't know if we ever really said this about the place, because we say it's an art co-op, and it makes it sound like this is the fanciest building with the best tiles and offices everywhere, or the best workshop. It really is still this part of like developing into what it is. It has this identity, but everybody there is somebody still learning. The guy who founded the place, the way he describes it to us, he's like what he wanted was a place that could be a social environment for people and a great place to appreciate and do art. And it sounded like it was just like he just did it to try it out. He bought the place, got some friends to help him out, and it's starting to grow more and more. But it's not like that guy has any experience in owning a company before Syzygy. And definitely what Syzygy is that thing people have sometimes trouble figuring out. And everybody there are people who want to help make it grow, give it that stronger identity, and make it the best thing it is. At the moment, Syzygy is great, but it's not at its best yet. And that is like one story I see going on there. Like being there in this, what I would still consider like the late early stages, you could document it and see just how much of Syzygy changes throughout time. It's almost like this podcast, you know, keeping track of all this stuff and how we changing over time. But there is this other story that I see inside of it, and it's kind of like, I hope it doesn't come off as twisted of me, but there is like however Syzygy ends, it's gonna have a good story. Because if Syzygy becomes highly successful, we're not gonna show how it started when it started off like being at one of the lowest, and as it grew further and further to become this phenomenal thing that's very popular in San Francisco, maybe known all around. But if it doesn't work out, that is a true shame if it goes out of business. But now it's a story about like, I guess like how people really tried. And you can't take away, like, it's not a bad thing they tried. It's like, this is a story of people trying to make a fantastic art scene. And it would definitely probably become a learning experience for everybody who watches it. Something that shows them like, okay, you know, this was a vision, but it didn't work out. What went wrong? And maybe Syzygy, what if that thing makes Syzygy have a revival? Because now people are like, let's make it come back. So that's why I mean, like, it sounds kind of twisted to say like, good ending or bad ending for Syzygy is still going to be a great story. And I do hope for the best of Syzygy. I hope it ends with it becoming phenomenal and staying alive for years. Everybody achieves what they want to achieve. That's what I hope for. There is this other story I saw, and this is kind of why I started now. So I mentioned how like when people ask me to do a documentary of Syz, like start filming there, I was like, I don't like the insecurities in my head was like, oh, well, I would need a team and I would need better equipment, but definitely a team. Who can I get all? I don't know if I want to make that much commitment. And it actually was like this podcast did help encourage a mentality of just jump into it and just try it out. Yeah, you're not going to get it right the first time. So let this be practice. The worst thing it could be is practice and I become better. Like the worst thing, I still become better. I still benefit from the worst thing that could happen with this podcast. And it definitely gave me that mentality of just like, I need to just jump into this. I need to stop worrying. It was like, if I could record a podcast in my bedroom and have a freaking bag with shoes in it, hold up a mic stand and a paper towel roll to hold up my mic, I think I could film if I have a pretty good camera and my own sound equipment. And the venue that is very interesting, and they want me to come in there. So an art show was coming up, and I thought that was like that would be the perfect time to start it right there. I'm gonna start filming the art show, and I said to myself, worst case scenario, they have a promo for the art show. And then there was also that like, well, I mean, I filmed the art show. And I haven't actually looked at that footage yet because we had a foosball match at the end of the art show, and I started putting that together instead. Like I videotaped it and put that together. But outside of like that mentality of like I just need to start it, Syz is going through this time in which we are talking about moving spaces. We don't know where it's going to go. We don't know if we're going to start with. I mean, we don't know if we're gonna stay in the location we have now, if we're gonna get less rooms for we pay less rent, or if we're gonna get a whole new building altogether. But when I heard there was a possibility of getting a new building, that means there would be pretty much a rebirth of Syz, and that was like that could be the beginning. That could be the story I get right there. I watch a art co-op come back and reinvent themselves in a new venue. I could document the whole progress of getting that together and then getting back to like events. So that was kind of like I wouldn't have lied in the documentary and say like this is the first time we've done it. Like my idea was like let me show what Syz was before coming to this building and having to rebuild. And that's kind of like was the thought in my head the whole time, but I wasn't doing it until I got the mentality of like, I just need to jump into it. I just need to start it. I hope I touched up on everything on that question.
Yeah, and then, thank you for that. And you also mentioned you wanted to say why You mentioned the why part, or did you already?
Oh, I already said. Oh, well, just jumping into it. Like, I wanted to start it. That's why I started to do it now. As
Okay,
opposed to
so it was.
anywhere
Oh,
else.
so that was essentially the reason why. Is because you were thinking too much about it. And you're like, well, what's the worst can happen? Okay.
And I should mention, like, even going into this, I keep calling the Syz doc, but I tell them all, like, I have no idea what's gonna happen in the end with all this footage. I said, worst case scenario, we're gonna have some nice home movies. You know, like someone got all Syz footage and all the memories and actually edited together to make it an enjoyable movie for us members. But I see this as like really practice, and if it's like if the practice, if this part's just practice, I'm still seeing myself like I'm gonna keep filming it though. But everything I'm doing now is that practice that could be maybe some footage that could be used for the actual, like when I'm like, oh, I'm so certain now, and jump into that, and it's comforting to think of it like that. It's comforting to know I'm working on my own. I'm not making this film to be the project that gets me big, and it's just very, very relaxed filmmaking. It's again even that thing of I can't say how exactly I want these shots. I have to react, and that makes going in there more relaxed. That makes filming it more relaxed. If I miss some shots, it's like, well, you know, this might not even make it in. Especially if you think about like documentary filmmaking, actually is something that could take a year, maybe even more, because you're filming a whole process of something. You could be filming somebody's life, and you don't even know what the story is until you're actually like filming it more and more, and then you look at it in post. So I have done 2 film sessions, and I'm about to do a third one on Tuesday. And that is 3 days in which would be at most a whole year. So if I'm not getting good footage that excites me, it doesn't mean that Syz is not excited. It doesn't mean there's no story to be told here. It's just like I gotta be patient and let this all be put together. And that's the fun of also editing it, because I end up like finding out like what does it take to make a story out of nothing. With the foosball match, everybody was equal in the foosball match. Everybody's just hanging out. But with the way of editing, you could bring one person at the focal point, and you can make it a story about, no, it's not about 4 people playing foosball. It is about how is this one person going to win.
Interesting. Didn't think of it like that. You have it's funny how you have a lot of manipulation in that aspect versus when it's planned and all that, you know off the bat what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So that's a interesting challenge.
It is. And that's like, take it as you want. I'm not saying that it's like documentary filmmaking is a evil manipulating creature, but it is manipulation. Documentaries can't tell the truth. Documentaries can fucking be propaganda. But each documentary is always adjusting things to have a bias to it. Example I was told was, think about when you watch a documentary and there is a antagonist. There's somebody who comes off clearly as evil. But it's like, wait, like only evil stuff? Did they ever walk the dog? Did he ever play with the grandchildren, you know? Did he ever say something that's not being a dick, you know? Like, what if Syzygy had like a landlord that said, hey, you have to pay your rent, you know? Now, the landlord also fixes up the place, and our landlord is somebody who he welcomes Syz. Like, his mother wanted the place to be a place where art can flourish. And so the fact he gave us Syz and is working with us, he's very patient with us and works with us. He's a pretty good guy, all right. But imagine if in a documentary, if I only showed the moments in which people are saying like, this place is falling apart, the landlord needs to get on it, but they're not helping us out so much. We need to talk to the landlord more about this. Oh, we had to do the pavement. How are we going to pay for this place? And if you can make a landlord look like a total piece of shit. And that's like the true story of this landlord. Like I've seen him around. He seems like a nice guy. He's a cool guy. He's a chill guy. But at the meeting, we were talking about how there's things that need to be fixed in Syzygy, and about how like the landlord needs to get on it more. If I only show that part, you wouldn't see the landlord as being like, he's a pretty chill dude. But he does need to work a bit harder. I could change it to make him to seem like a lazy asshole. And that's what they say. Like in documentaries, since people are used to like simplified people to be their main characters, you may be editing to simplify some things to make your narrative, to show like who do I want to be the protagonist? What message do I want to say? And how can I make my message stronger? Again, maybe it's not the truth. Maybe it's not going to lie. It's just your bias. And that's when it comes to like, as hard as a word it sounds, it could be propaganda because it is trying to advertise a viewpoint.
So what's the next step for this certain project? Is this a hiatus? Is this I'm going to wait till the next event? What's going to happen with this?
Next project being, what do you mean?
I mean, for this documentary, for the Syz documentary, like, is there a next step to that? Are you still working on it?
Of course I'm still working on it. I'm going to be filming next Tuesday, and Syz is always doing events. So there's so many opportunities to film around. And that's really what it is. It's a patient waiting game that I am playing. And I feel like the hardest part about all of this is that if I choose not to go to an event, I have that lingering thought in my head of like, oh, what did I miss out on? Because I didn't go to, like, they started this new thing they called the Syz Salon. They don't do your hair. It's actually like where they do things, think of like mini TED Talks. Someone gives a presentation to inform people, and typically they would want things that are in the art field. They had their first one last week. I didn't go to it. I honestly just was tired that day. And I didn't want to put all the effort. Like it was like a day I just wanted to like, oh, I haven't really relaxed after work in a while. But it was in my head like, oh, what did I miss? And I saw the Discord in which some people were said like, yeah, that was a really good talk we had. Like they were saying things about talk of like where they're gonna go next. I'm like, oh, that would have been a great conversation to film. And it was hitting me. And it's also that thing that puts me on this back and forth as a person, because I don't want, I know it's gonna happen, but I'm gonna start looking at some of these moments and these people differently when I'm filming them, because it's gonna be less about being in that moment and just letting people be people and seeing them more as like, ooh, that could be the next exciting moment, a nice emotional piece in my film. Like when I was filming the art show, I remember like when I'll be in a crowd and I would see some people. It's like when they would hug, that would get on camera. And as anyone else, you would just probably walk by it, not think anything. And even if you did think something, you're like, oh, look, friends reuniting. But for me, I'm like, yes, that's the emotional stuff. That's the loving stuff that can make Syz look better. And I was like, ooh, that feels, I don't like the way that feels, But I can't lie, that's how everybody who documents anything is thinking. When they are filming those moments, it is because, like, and they keep it in, it's because they know it's having an emotional impact on the audience. So I can't emphasize enough, I'm not saying this to make anyone like disgusted in documentary filmmaking and to ban it. It's just understanding like that is how it works, and it's manipulation technically, but because it's making you feel one way, but you have that like kind of everywhere. You have that even when you talk to people and you use certain word choices and you talk in a certain tone. You're trying to, we say in manipulation, maybe we could start saying influence. You're trying to influence that person to see you one way. Just like that's how you could say with documentary filmmaking. It's trying to influence an audience one way. If you're trying to make them feel relaxed and that they're in a loving environment looking at a Syz art show on camera, yeah, show the hug. Show people communicating. It's influencing that. It's showing them. And maybe it's we don't have to use influence or manipulation. It's just being accurate. It's just like, no, that's the truth. That's what Syz is like.
So as I understand now, this is just an ongoing project that you don't know how long it will take.
I talk about it here. And I think the reason I would talk about this before any other project I'm working on is because it could honestly not be anything by the end. It can honestly be something nobody here will ever see. And with that in mind, it's I think talking about it here is that reminder for people that you don't have to treat every project you do as the thing that's going to make you big. You don't have to treat it as something that's going to be finished, because we could just treat sometimes doing our art as just a fun activity and as a thing that this is solely practice, you know? And I feel like with people who are, at least for me, and I wonder who relates to this, as a filmmaker, I feel like when I do something with the camera, I had to make it something truly phenomenal. I had to make everything perfect and right, or else it becomes a waste of time. But it's not like that. It shouldn't be like that. That we like filming, and that you don't have to make your practice only when you get like a crew of 5 people there. It's like playing with your camera, understanding your camera more, doing these certain activities, because then it shows you some effects of like, oh, I guess I shouldn't use that lighting again. I'll know that for my next project. That is the thing I want to advertise. But it really is just like not to share the message. Like, don't forget just to do it to have fun, to just do it because you don't know. And I think the way I'm having fun with it is because I'm always checking in with myself. Like, okay, so what's the best I could get out of this, and what's the worst I could get out of this, and checking if the worst is even bad. You know, worst sounds like worst is a bad negative word, but that doesn't always mean it's a bad thing. It just means it's like, all right, in all honesty, when everything's put together logically, this will be the least I get from this thing. So I am just doing this just to film it, just to practice. Just in the end, I could say I have documentary filmmaking under my belt. Or maybe if I don't want to say it that strong, I can even tell people like, all right, well, if you're doing this, here's what I learned about doing such and such. And let me save you some time there. It could be like, even that light thing I was talking about. It's like, well, now I know if I ever film in this room, that light's going to be a problem. Or even keep my eye out. I feel like I'm more vigilant when I'm filming it now. Of course, I grab the camera and I just jump into it. But then once I see the things on camera, it's like, oh, I should have got that out of the way. And I can imagine, like, there was a roll of paper towels in the center of the table during the meeting in front of everybody. And while filming, it was like, this is the most distracting roll of paper towels. It's the only thing out of everything that was getting the light. It was the fucking paper towels, and they're white too, so they're reflecting. That I honestly was like listening for the meeting, and when they go like, all right, and I was like, okay, the pausing. I ran in, took the paper towels, and like tossed them aside. I was like, and no one did anything about it too. So yeah, I feel like I am getting better at catching these things, and it could even be that thing of like making Solely Book was that thing of like, oh, I knew what was going to happen, but not 100%. It could like help me get that like steadier hand in filming in the moment, grabbing those actions, be able to predict people when they want to improvise, and where they're going to go, where the steps are going to be. So I am enjoying it all the way. And I like editing. Now it's almost like how you could just grab a piece of paper and pencil and start drawing. I'm like, I got footage. I can edit. Look at that.
Mm-hmm. Well, now that you have that going on, now Heidi's pretty much wrapping up. It seems like you now got some sort of consistent roller coaster of projects going, because you also even tell me about, your scripts that you're writing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those things that's probably will supplement your future projects, like you just said.
Yeah, it is. With the Hyde release coming out, and even the premiere event I'm hosting, I am definitely getting this buildup of momentum, and I don't want to lose it. This in writing these scripts, going further into them, and just doing something like filming around Syzygy is this thing that's keeping that momentum going, that there's no drop off. And even at the moment, like, I do want to do more, but it's nice to know that, like, even at like even if I'm not doing my next narrative film, even if I'm not working on a narrative film right now, I'm still doing something. And knowing me and knowing the support I have around me, it's just like what any project I have when I want to start it, I am going to be able to just do that. And making it clear, that doesn't mean like instantly I got a crew, but it's like I could begin those little steps that get me there easily. You know, if I have it like with the doc, Syzygy, it's like, sweet, I'm getting the permission. I'm starting to go to more events, you know, and of course there's other things to start, like interviews. And again, it wouldn't hurt to get ask around, like, is someone else want to jump on this with me, be another cameraman. But then even if I think about it with scripts, it's like once, you know, like I got some finished short scripts and a big project that I would want to do, that it's like, well, if this is done, let's do that next step. Let's contact somebody who can help me gather the team together. Let's start even practicing. Like, okay, with this script, I feel like I could do it in this location. Am I sure about that? Do I need to get a team to find out? No. I could get like maybe an assistant, but I could find out just with a little test.
Yeah, and it sounds like it rolls all back to what we even talked about in the previous episodes, even from the very beginning. Try something out. You'll always get mostly something positive from it, unless you do something super stupid. But you'll get something positive out of it.
Yeah.
Just think of more what you have rather than what you don't, and work with it.
Definitely try it out. And you know, that's the scary thing too. If you think of the other type of momentum some people have. I don't know if you've ever been a victim of this, but you don't do something for so long that part of the reason you don't do it is because you haven't done it in so long. You become unfamiliar. Like now, it's almost like you forgot how to start. You're just so used to not starting. I think of it like the mentality comes in like, oh, well, you know, if I haven't done it in like 2 months and I could not do it for another day, you know, so you end up just skipping it. And no day ever seems like the day to start it again. And it could be like difficult to come out of that. And what I would say for that is that, like, you know, if you truly love doing your craft, then just squeak. If you truly love doing your craft, then just start it in a small way. Like if I were to compare it to, like, you know, focus it more on like what I do, screenwriting, it's like I would say like, okay, you know what? I don't want to write today. I haven't written in so long. Okay, I don't want to write today. Write one sentence. Write one sentence and see where it goes. Okay, like maybe you just do the one sentence. That's fine. All right, we only made a deal for one sentence, but you won't just write one sentence. You're gonna end up doing like a whole page. You're gonna keep going. You know, even if you, like I said about writing, I might delete the whole page, but I still like I won't write more than I won't write just one sentence. I'm always doing it further. If it's coming to like comparing to like wanting to start like a documentary film, it's like, okay, you know, you do like, I don't need to start today. I don't need to do it. I can wait. It's not time. It's like, all right, just contact the person. Let's contact the person, get the permission. All right. Now they got the permission, and now somebody knows it. It's like just film it now. Go over there and film it. And you know what? Even tell yourself, only film for like 1 minute. And I could just film for 1 minute. you're gonna be filming the whole time. You could compare it to like even art. It's like just start. Like you don't want to do your art. Yeah, you don't know how to start it. Like, okay, grab paper, just draw a circle. That's it. That's all I'm saying. Just start with just drawing something simple like a circle. But you're gonna start seeing something in that circle. Now you're drawing like a face or something. I also think of like you're cleaning. You know, it's like when I clean, if I tell myself I'm just gonna sweep this one tile, I'm like, I'm sweeping the whole floor. Tell me you don't sweep the whole floor. So that is what I'm saying. It's like you can find yourself trapped inside there, and I guess like what could even make it harder is because you think what you had to do is like, oh, it's been so long, I have to write a whole book. It's like, no, start small. Start off small and watch yourself exceed what you promised yourself. It's like it's like that snowball, like the little snowball that rolls down the hill and just becomes bigger and bigger and goes faster and faster. It's like that. It starts off small, and then just, you know, keep it. Be excited when you have it. And you know, that's all I want like to say for these people. Like, look, I'm doing it right now. I'm not everything is working out smoothly with shooting at Syzygy, but it still feels good to be doing it, and I'm still getting good stuff. And again, this is not even like even close to the final product of what this whole documentary can be. I could be filming for up to a year if I really wanted to make this like a feature-length thing. So it's still like the early stages of this all.
Yeah, and you couldn't have said it better. It's really just starting something, keep on going with it. That's the motto of what we've been doing lately. So,
yeah. So everybody out there listening to this, if you're on a good momentum right now, that's fucking awesome. Don't you ever forget that is an amazing thing you're doing right now. Be excited just thinking about it. And if you find yourself trapped, don't look at it like you have to, on that one day, finish the whole project. Like, really just start off small. I always like to tell myself, like, give myself a little task that regards in my craft, because I always find myself exceeding it, and you will exceed it too. And even if you don't even reach your small task on that, like, but you did do something, like, never undermine that you did do it. Whether it was a whole 2 pages or just 1 paragraph in a writing, or however else we can compare this. It's like, you can't take away the fact you did that. That is now closer. And I think that's a great way to end off this thing. I hope everybody here is having a phenomenal life right now, and always striving to make it better. This is Nick Vick signing off.
And Azero Alcala signing off.
And thank you so much for listening.
Bye-bye.
See ya.